Hello everyone and welcome to another Feed Army video. In this video we're going to talk about why excluding products based on availability is actually more of a negative than a positive. So what most customers think is that if your products are in shopping Google Adwords, so you've got them included, that based off either if it's in stock or out of stock, that is still being displayed in the shopping results as an ad, which is not the case. So basically when a product is out of stock and Google Merchant has this information, then the ad is not shown in Google Shopping, and this happens pretty instantaneously when the information is available. So before we're going to start on how to set up the correct way, we're going to talk about what people tend to do the negative way. So the first thing that people tend to do is in AdWords, they simply exclude the product. So if you filter down in your campaign to the item ID, you can actually exclude the product. But doing that will result in two negatives. The first one is that human error can come into play and you forget to include it again when the product becomes available. The second issue is that when you exclude the product and you include it again, there might be a couple of hours of delay before Google is going to add them again in shopping ads. So there's a bit of a delay issue when you do that. The second thing is that people tend to maybe delete them from their data feed in Google Merchant. Again, it has two negatives. The first negative is when you delete a product in Google Merchant, it actually just adds it again next time when the data feed is fetched. This is because you cannot really delete a product in Google Merchant. So when you delete it, what happens when the automatic fetch happens or you manually fetch the data feed again, it is included again. The second problem doing that is that you actually force Google to re-review your product, which can delay your product being included for up to 3 working days or maybe longer, because you're doing this constantly, and it forces Google to delay your account because it's getting Google has a bit of an issue where if you send too many data feed updates, everything gets delayed. So it's best to only update your data feed and submit a new fetch when you have new data information. The third option that people tend to do when they want to remove a product from being displayed in Google Shopping is to delete it from their data feed. Again, this first issue is that human error can come into play and that the the product does not get included again, which then leaves the issue open for not having any impressions. The second issue, again, as with the Google Merchant account, when you delete something, is that it goes through a process of re-evaluating, so re-review by Google, which can delay the product being included up to 3 days again, 3 working days, not days. So those 3 methods that people tend to do are all pretty much negatives and delays everything a lot more because of human error, because of re-reviews and delays from Google AdWords itself. The correct way to do it is have your data feed as fresh as possible. What does this mean? It basically means that if a product is out of stock, that you notify Google Merchant that it is out of stock, and vice versa. If it's in stock, that Google Merchant knows it's in stock. So when something is in stock, it's pretty much instantaneously that Google will include it in the shopping ads again. So this is very quick. What you need to make sure is that your data feed is fresh. There are a couple of ways you can do this. So the first is submit your data feed at least every single day. Now, if you update your data feed more than once, you can do it up to 4 times without resulting in any issues. However, if you do that, you have to submit it manually. If you want to submit a second type of data feed automatically, so for example, you can use the product inventory, which allows you to update the price, the sale price, and the availability through a much smaller data feed, because it only has 3 information, well, 4 plus the product ID. So when you send that information to Google, you can do that, for example, after lunch when you've done a big update, and have the main data feed where all the product information is available updated at midnight. So that gives you a chance to update the data feed twice per day automatically. But you can do this manually. If you go into Google Merchant and you click on Fetch Now, you can do that you can do it more than 4 times, but if you do that, then everything gets delayed, and it's not a good way of doing that. So the second part of having fresh data is using microdata. Now, microdata sounds maybe a little bit weird or confusing, but it's simple, just an HTML markup that you add to your landing page, which holds information about the product. So for example, it holds the title, the description, the price, and the availability. So let's just focus on the availability. So if you have the microdata for availability on your landing page, then when Google crawls your page, it can update the data feed automatically behind the scene. So actually it does not update your data feed, but it updates the status of your product, which is very beneficial, because whenever for example, if there's a peak in the day, let's say at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all the products are sold out, and when Google crawls your page, it can update that the product is out of stock. But be aware that if you do not update your data feed every single day, then you will get a mismatch of information. So it's important that you, one, have your data feed fetched every day. Optionally, have a product inventory data feed. But there are not a lot of merchants that do that actually, because normally they tend to update everything once a day. So a normal data feed is fine. And then have your microdata installed on your website. It's actually very easy to add microdata. I'll share a link in the description, but it's very easy to set up and install. And it will help you have the products shown when it's in stock and not shown when it's out of stock. So that's pretty much what I recommend for having a more effective campaign advertising effort. I recommend doing that, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. More than happy to help. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.